Great day. Kayleigh, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me here. I'm excited.
So let's dive right in here. We know that the midterms are coming up. We know that the generic ballot looked pretty good for the GOP. What's the feeling like right now inside the RNC?
So we're excited, and we don't invest too much stock in the generic polling. If we invest a ton of stock in polling, then Hillary Clinton would be president, not Donald Trump. But we're excited at what we're seeing, and namely our fundraising numbers, we think tell a very significant story. We've brought in record-raising numbers. We have $40 million cash on hand. Compare that to the Democratic Party when you take into account their debt. They have $1.8 million cash on hand, so we have a 23 times advantage. And to put it into context, it takes about $1.3 million to win a House seat on average. So Democrats right now, the DNC at least, could win 1 1/3 of a House seat, and they need 24. So that tells a significant story.
Wow, that's pretty profound. In terms of the issues, what are you guys seeing in terms of your polling numbers? What are the people most excited about? What are they most anxious about? And what do they still expect from the president? And are they going to be voting on?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're seeing in our internal data in our key battleground states is a complete uptick in support for tax cuts. So basically a doubling of support for tax cuts as people see their paychecks grow in all of our key battleground states. So that's a big deal. We're excited about that. And we're seeing huge support for an infrastructure deal. I mean, to the tune of the margin is like 56% between those who want it and don't. So like 70% on average support for infrastructure. So people want to see that. It's up to Democrats to come to us and be like, yes, we like the plan you put forward. So to work with us, it's up to Democrats at this point.
I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, about the Second Amendment. What does that look like here? The president has said he wants to raise the minimum age to buy a rifle up to 21. The NRA had put out a statement against that, and a lot of very avid voters are NRA members. Do you see any conflict within the party, or is this something that's going to be resolved?
I think it's something that will be resolved. We do support the Second Amendment. The president supports the Second Amendment. But one of the things, when I interviewed Ivanka for my book many months ago, she said to me that she described her father as pragmatic. I think that's a fantastic word because President Trump is someone who, when an issue like this arises, he can say, I am pro-Second Amendment thoroughly and fully. However, on something like bump stocks, we can ban those. That allows you to convert to an automatic weapon, which is already banned under law. Likewise, when you have handguns that those under 21 can't attain a handgun, but yet they can get an AR-15, that kind of seems illogical. So those sorts of calculations that you're still a Second Amendment advocate, it's important that we have guns. Trump even mentioned arming certain teachers who are skilled. So you can be fully and avidly Second Amendment. But on some of these issues, step back and say, hey, this makes sense to change this. But I will warn you, changing those things will not end the problem in full. We've got to address mental health. We have to address warning signs being missed by the FBI and ultimately address the real problem, which is kids in school learning to respect their fellow classmates.
So ultimately, within this really contentious debate, you think that the GOP is ultimately going to be coming out on top with the voters?
Yes, we are going to side fully with the president. President Trump is leader of this party. He navigates this for us. He was elected by the people, and we think, he will hold the base. My husband, who's an avid gun owner, he'd be the first to say we do need to have thorough background checks. There are many gun owners out there that agree with that. Even the NRA agrees with that. So let's enforce existing law, and let's make a real difference.
So I know right now immigration is one of the things that is really driving the debate with the president, and there's been a lot of contention within the GOP itself. How do you think that that's going to resolve itself in the midterms? I mean, with the president on one certain side, and you have many members who are not particularly for such a restriction in legal immigration. Do you think that that's going to cause some tension there?
I don't think so, because he's standing with the base of our party. But at the same time, that word pragmatic comes up again because President Trump was able to step back and say, what do I need to prioritize to get a deal? I need the border wall. I need to end the diversity lottery. I need to end chain migration. However, on DACA, I will budge. And Democrats, I will not only give you 700,000 amnesty paths to citizenship, I will give you 1.8 million. That's him being pragmatic and being a deal maker, and it's just Democrats being far too partisan is why we can't get to yes on this. But our party stands together. We have a wide variety of voices on this issue, but we welcome that. That's what we think makes the Republican Party great.
So if I'm an interested viewer at home, what are the 10 races that I should be watching very closely? What are the indicators that I should be looking at that you see?
Well, one of the things is to look at the states that President Trump won, and those states are going to be key Senate races for us. And we're looking at strongly at seats like Claire McCaskill out in Missouri, who was not with the president on tax cuts. No Democrat was, worth mentioning, and Joe Donnelly in Indiana, and Joe Manchin, West Virginia, and even states that might seem more like a reach, like Bill Nelson in Florida. Bill Nelson in Florida, of course, has been there for a very long time, but it's about time his era comes to an end and we have a pragmatic Republican in that seat. So there are many. I'd look at the 10 states Donald Trump won in, but we're going to play in every state. We're not taking a single Senate seat or House seat for granted. We want to make gains.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Kayleigh. Our audience is a big fan of you, so we really appreciate it. Kayleigh McEnany with the GOP spokeswoman, and I'm Saagar Enjeti with the Daily Caller.